Debbie with Kip's Corner. Welcome back, and if you're new, welcome. And welcome to day 23 of the Creep on June collaboration project. I'm so excited to be a part of this. Halloween is actually not my favorite holiday, but I'm kind of excited about what I'm going to do, and I think that it'll be fun. I do not know what you've seen yet in this month, because today is just the 3rd of June. But because mine might be a little more detailed, I wanted to get started on it so that I did not miss my deadline, so that you could be seeing this on the 23rd of June. I do know that with this collaboration, there are very, very talented makers both in front of me and behind me in the month. And I do hope that you've been watching all of them, or that you're able to get caught up if you haven't yet. But it's a fun collaboration, and I hope you're enjoying it. I will have in my description box below links to all of the channels and the days that all the makers will be posting their videos. And I also have a playlist that I will be putting links to the actual videos in a playlist. So please check that out. Check out the description box below. And let me tell you what I'm going to do. So this is... Tracy has created this Halloween Mega Matchbox Minis kit, and there are 20 some odd pages, and it's just got everything, some really creepy, some not so creepy, some things are more fallish, some are spooky, some are just cute, just a bunch of different options for you to create these Matchbox Minis. And here are some of the couple of the pieces and components. I've got in front of me a lot of the ephemera pages. There's a little accordion book there, and I just have a lot of the ephemera pages. And the reason I don't have the full Matchbox pages, that's actually hard to say it fast 3 times. I don't have those all printed out because I'm going to do something a little different than creating a Matchbox. I decided that what I'm going to do is create a vignette box that is Halloween themed. And so I'm going to be using pieces and parts of the kit to decorate and to add to that vignette box. And I've got further back here, I've got some pages that I printed out at a reduced size because, let's see, that's full size. Look, I've got both of them. But you can see here's the full size, and here's the same page that I printed it a little smaller. And the reason I did that was because I need smaller ephemera pieces than the full size. And so, and then in the very back here, I have just a couple of pages, which matches beautifully, from her Dark Compendium kit that came out last Halloween. And there are pieces and parts of this where I think I'm gonna want to use those. So I have those here. And then I also have over here off to the side my little box of goodies. This is a Tim Holtz panel. It's the size, I think, of a bigger vignette box. Like, you could use this as a lid. I'm going to use it as a base. And then I have here, let me just empty the contents of my box here, and I'll show you what I have and what I've already done. I have 2 vignette boxes, and they come in a set where I think there's 3 or 4 in the set. I don't remember because the rest of them aren't here. These are the 2 I had left. And the idea is that I'm going to stack these on top of each other like this, and then this will sit straight up and down on top of this. So the sideway view will look like this. And then that'll set, you'll be able to set that on a shelf somewhere. And I'm going to create scenes inside. And the theme of my scenes is going to be pseudo bookstore. So from the kit printouts, I'm going to be creating a bunch of little mini books and some rolled up maps and things like that. And then I'm going to arrange it all into these vignette boxes. So that's the idea. So before I start building, what I want to do is get these boxes and this base ready to go. And in order to do that, I'm clearing my space here. I want to put some I don't want to paint these. I want to kind of keep that wood-ish color look, but I might make them a little bit darker. And I want to put some crackle paste on here, so it just looks, you know, it just gives it that older aged look. And so what I think I'm going to do is just randomly add some crackle paste onto these 3 pieces. Then once that dries, I'll do a wash, you know, to get it darker than white. And then I'm going to put 2 pieces from Tracy's kit here in the back. And I've got one printed out, if I can figure out what I did with it. Somewhere in this, here it is. Where I took part of the Matchbox and I dropped the file into Microsoft Word. I cropped into about the size that I thought I would need, and then cut off kind of the rest of it and then printed that out. So this is for the big board here, and this one is for the smaller board. So we'll see if I did some educated guesses on sizes and stuff. We'll see how well I did. But before I do that, like I said, I want to start with some crackle paste. So let me get that out. We'll get going. Then we'll let that dry. I usually like for crackle paste to dry kind of overnight. And so like I said, this video is going to be put together in bits and pieces, and it's going to take a lot longer to put together, you know, than just a few minutes. And so I will be fast forwarding through a lot of it. But that's where we're going to start. And here we go. Up, we are coloring the boxes before we attach them, and basically I just want to get a crackly paint look to it and just kind of an old icky, and so I'm just getting some brown on here. I'm using raw umber and the golden high flow acrylic, and I'm using walnut crystals from Paper Artsy that have been dissolved into water into a little spray bottle. Here's another one where you can kind of see I'm just getting that ickiness added, the grunge kind of added to it. And so basically what I'm doing is just taking the acrylic and just dropping it on a little bit. Oops, I'm out of water. Adding a spritz of water and then just kind of rolling that around. Using my brush, I just want to get into those cracks, get that dark color into the cracks. And then I'm just gonna roll it around, do the same thing. And then just get into some of these other places. And just let that sit there for a second. And I'll go ahead and roll around to the next one. Just kind of get a little bit of it on the front as I'm going. Just dried, painted, and you can see it just has this old crackly kind of look to it. I don't know if that's going to focus or not, but so now what I'm doing is I'm adding washi tape to the front. I've done this one, and you can see this little pattern. It's just this, I think this is a Tim Holtz tape. And so what I'm doing, I don't want to just put it straight across on all 4 sides. That would be too easy. What I want to do is, what I'm trying to do is make the washi tape look cracked and kind of falling apart too, like it's part of the wood. And so this one is done. What I'm doing is looking where I've got where my crackle paste came into play versus where it's still open wood. And I'm putting the washi tape on that open wood, and I'm just ripping it to sort of fit into the spots where the crackle starts and stops. and going around. So for example, here, I want to rip this down, and it's not going to be perfect. It doesn't have to be. And on this bottom piece, I am going to go all the way to the edge just because I don't have a whole lot. And I'm just using art glitter glue, but I am adding glue. And then I'm going to butt this up next to my crackle, about there. And get this here. Oops. Now the whole thing needs to come this way just a tiny bit. Too much. That's good enough. Okay, now I'm just going to press this down and push that up into the crackle that's already there. And see if I can't get it on here fairly straight. And I'm just going to cut that little piece off from the back like that. And now I got washi tape stuck to my fingers. Okay. So there we go. Those two pieces are done, and they set on top of each other like, see, here's the top. And there'll be other stuff here. They sit on top of each other like this. And actually that's the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and glue these two pieces together. So as I'm working on the inside, I can kind of see the whole picture at once. So I'm going to try to get that centered, and I'll clamp that overnight. I will use wood glue on this. I just have to go find my wood glue. And I'll clamp it overnight and let it sit and get nice and dry before I come back and do anything else to it. So more to come. Hopping on to give you a quick update. I've got my two boxes completely glued together now, and that's what they look like. I've added the background pages. These are from the kit, from the Mega Matchbox Mini Kit. And then I've added a little shelf in here, and this is it's a polished rock of some sort. I used dowel rods and just made a little L shape and then glued that all in there, painted the dowel rods a little darker just so they don't, pop, stand out. Meanwhile, I've made a couple of books. So here's one of my little books. This is from the kit, and I just used some coffee dyed paper and put some little signatures together. And this is all just glued. And then I made some little kind of composition books using, again, paper from the kit, coffee dyed paper on the inside, and then this is just a little strip of leather on the outside. So I have more books to make. There are some pages in the kit that I'm going to adapt to create little mini books, all different sizes. So I'm going to show you really quick just what I'm doing. I just took some scrap paper. This is literally like, I don't know, 1 inch, not quite 1 inch by about 1.5 inches or so. And I'm just folding them in half, and I'm just folding them and maybe putting, kind of depending on how fat my book is, putting, I think I put 3 signatures in this one. And then I'm using this stapler, my whatever this is called, tiny stapler, this from Tim Holtz, and I'm just putting a staple at the fold just to hold it, really. And then when I glue, I'm kind of gluing all sides. So I'm trying not to overthink this and kind of go pretty fast, right? I'm not making sure my folds are great and perfect and, dead on or anything like that, because I think the more rugged it looks, the more this will look, real, if you want to call it that. Let's put 5 pieces of paper in each one. And so you can see my edges are all cattywampus. That's okay. I can trim those too. And these papers really won't, well, they will on a coat. Depends on where I put them in the shadow box or the Vignette Box, whether or not they'll show up. So I'm grabbing my 5 pieces, sort of getting them, you know, I'm getting them in there, and finding the center, which I think is this one. And then I'm just taking the tiny attacher, that's what it's called, tiny attacher, and putting a right there in the middle and folding it back over. And I'll do that to all 3 of these. Now I'm taking the 3 books, or the 3 signatures, putting those together, and I'm gluing those together too, just so that they'll sit in there better. So I'm just taking a little line of glue right here, putting those on top of each other, getting them, you know, squared up as much as possible. Squish them down a little. We'll do another one. I don't know if 3 is enough for this or not. Just making sure all my stapled edges are together. Like I said, squared off, you know, pretty much as good as it's going to get, right? I'm going to ink it. And I'm just going to hold this still. I don't need to ink that side. I'm going to throw some ink on the top. I'll throw some ink on the sides. Bottom. And then call that done. And now I'm going to take my what would have been the Matchbox sleeve. I'm just going to ink around. And then I am going to go ahead and ink just the edge of the inside, just in case it shows. I don't have to go all the way in because it's going to be glued. But just enough to make sure that it's covered. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take my art glitter glue, and I'm going to cover the glue into the spine and just a little higher into the front and back cover areas. It's got plenty of glue in there. Take this, just going to slip that in and sort of square it up. Flatten it down here on the bottom while it's setting up. And that extra little glue will dry. And now I have a little mini book. This is the poison arsenic, and I got it wet and rubbed some of it off and just made it look just gross and grungy. And so that's ready to go. And so I've got 2 more labels here, and I want to put those on here. I'm going to put this little deadly handling on the skinny one, and I'm going to put this, it's burdock blood bitters. That sounds like that's something that would be in a vial, right? Done. Okay. I had a lot of footage that I shot while I was making this. I worked on this pretty much over 2 weekends. A lot of dry time, you know, wet things had to dry, glue had to dry. So I don't know, I haven't edited that video footage yet, so I don't know what you just saw yet. But I'm going to go ahead and walk through the whole project very quickly just to kind of tell you what all I did. Lots of layers on this, and you end up sort of covering things up when you add layers, but that's okay. It's kind of like collaging in dimension. So here we go. Okay, so I started with the vignette boxes, and I put crackle paste on them, and then on top of the crackle paste, after that had dried, I used raw umber liquid acrylic paint, and I used that pretty much everywhere. Raw umber just to get down, get that crackle paint not white. Then I spritzed it a little bit with some walnut crystals dissolved in water from Paper Artsy. Love that stuff. Then I added some washi tape. I think this is Tim Holtz washi tape. And I added it just where my cracks kind of weren't. Again, a lot of that is covered up, and you can see some more down here. Then I put my boxes together, and then I started building. So I started with the very back pieces. These are both printouts from Tracy's kit, and I've enlarged them. I just guessed at the size. I wanted to just kind of get it close, get it in there, cut that up to size, then glued that in the back. Then I added some, what I would call wall decorations. I've got the 2 moths there. There's a little 13 in there. This is a medallion. You can see the sheen back there. That I added Seth Apter's baked texture in vintage beeswax. Love that stuff. And then I started creating my individual pieces. And then once all the individual pieces were done, I had more than I needed. But I just created enough that I felt like I could fill everything in, and then started gluing. So my pieces. From left to right up here, we have, these are just little plastic skulls from Amazon. Used the raw umber again, wiped some of it off, and then I used some Metallique Bronze Age wax on top just to give them, even a little bit more grungy look. And then you can see here just a tiny bit of patina in Gilder's wax paste. And the bones are from Tim Holtz. Same thing, grunged them up with my raw umber acrylic. And I'll come back to the books just in just a second. Then the maps are all from the kit. I printed them out in a couple different sizes. Then I trimmed them out, spritzed them with water, and then I crumbled the paper and then laid it flat to dry. Then I went back over with some ink and then rolled them. I rolled them backwards because I wanted to I wanted to be able to tell their maps. And then this said St. Louis. And so, of course, I had to get that St. Louis up in there. And then wrapped them with just some little black twine. More bones. Back here, these are watchmaker vials that I had just in my stash. And the same thing, I took a couple pieces, some labels from Tracy's kit, and I shrunk them down just a little bit and glued them on there. So you can see the skull and crossbones there. And this one says Deadly Handling. This is also from the kit, of course. And I kind of nicked it up and grunged up the sides, used ink on it, just got it, just dirty. Backed it with a sturdier cardstock, so this is nice and stiff. This is Creepy Cloth from the dollar store, and in black. They sell this in a couple of different colors around the Halloween time frame every year, or at least they have for the past few years. The stones, these are Prima Marketing art stones, and I just colored them again with the raw umber, soaked them in some watered down raw umber liquid acrylic for a few minutes, pulled them out, let them dry, and then attached them all. The metal piece here, a compendium of curiosities. I thought that went well with the whole theme here. This is a metal piece from Tim Holtz, as well as the gates, this little medallion down here, and what else? Yep, those are the metal pieces. And with those, I painted those with black gesso first, and then used Metallique Bronze Age wax on top, and then just a tiny bit of patina wax on top of that, just in a couple of kind of random places, just again to make that sign look like it was aging. Same with the gates. You can see. Let's see, coming down. Is that the top? Yeah, that's the top. Okay, coming down. This is a tumbled polished stone, a flat stone, and I created a little shelf that I don't know if you can see back up in there, but I created a little shelf with two pieces of squared dowel rod, squared off dowel rod, made an L, and I glued the L shape in there, and then glued this on top of that so it had a ledge to sit on. Then I've got, this is a candlestick from a dollhouse candlestick, and these the two red little ones, and this little brown book here, those are all also dollhouse books, and they were very white. The pages were very white and the red was very red, and so I grunged those up. I used ink on the papers and ink on the outside, wrapped that one. Okay, then all of the books, this one and all of these here, except for the dollhouse books, are all from Tracy's, made from Tracy's kit. And what I did on a couple of them, I used the sleeve from the Matchbox Mini. I chopped off one of the sides and the glue tab, so I had three sides, scored them, of course, and following her score marks. And then I just used little scraps I had on my desk and created baby signatures and then just glued them all in. Then a couple of them I wrapped with that same string, and then this one I put leather on the outside edge, and that's those. These two, the flower and the print, those were created also from the kit, but from the pieces that go on the inside of the Matchbox. And I just shrunk that down a little bit and just did some same score lines and things like that on those. Let's see, I already mentioned the bones and the skulls. Okay, the tombstone piece and the flower pot piece, I believe those are also Tim Holtz pieces, and they're kind of a resin. So they come that color. I dirtied them up a little bit more with my waxes, and that one's pretty hidden, but you can kind of see I've dirtied it up with my waxes. And then this is a paper from the kit, both of these pieces that I just fit in there. And then just to sort of fill in little holes and spaces and things, along with the stones I put on last, but then I used this green moss and this brown, you can see it better here, these brown kind of twig things. They're for flower arranging. And so I used those and then just put a little bit more patina just in a couple spots, just again to kind of give them that aged look. Here's the side. And is that everything? I think that's everything. And that's it. That is my make for Creep on June. This was a fun project. I really didn't work on it it didn't take me, I should say, as long as I actually thought it was going to. I started this, I think the 3rd of June, and just worked on it across 2 weekends. I work full-time during the week, and so I don't spend a whole lot of time at my craft table during the week, but the weekends are kind of my time. And so I was able to do all of this across just 2 weekends. Lots of time waiting for things to dry. On the metal pieces, I've used Glossy Accents as the glue. Glossy Accents is great for metal. On the wood, adhering the 2 wood boxes and the base, I used wood glue, which worked beautifully. And then on the paper pieces, I used art glitter glue just because they're paper. But then everything else, like the skulls and the tombstone, adhering these things down, that is all matte gel medium. So I used several different kinds of glue, four different kinds of glues on this, depending on what I was gluing down, how heavy it was, how dimensional it was, and all of that kind of stuff. So that is it. I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. It's kind of spooky and it's kind of creepy, and that's my make. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. This has just been a really fun collaboration. It's a fun project, and I hope you all are enjoying it. And thanks for your support. Bye-bye.